Welcome back to Insightful Hypocrites, episode 7.
Hey, welcome back, guys. It's Stanton. Thanks for listening again.
Yeah, it's Tulsa. 24, Dad's Elvis.
And I'm still a ginger.
We should do that every week.
Every week, no. But anyway, thanks for listening again, guys. Joining us again.
Oh, yeah, and I said I'm 24
Made it
this
7
time.
weeks.
That's
yeah,
why I had to redo it, because I'm 24 this time.
It was Tulsa's birthday last week, if you guys remember, so happy belated birthday again, Tulsa.
Guess what I did all weekend?
What'd you do?
I watched probably like 17 hours of wrestling.
Ooh, yeah, Wrestlemania. Well, before we talk about Wrestlemania, because I know you want to go there.
Of course.
Talk about Spotify. Still messed up.
Man.
But we have more. We have good news.
Spotify hits me.
Maybe.
Spotify hits me with the. Our team has finally looked into it and recovered that it is Podbean's fault. Which, when this all first started happening, I messaged Podbean and they assured it was Spotify's fault. So now I just got two major companies going back and forth blaming each other like a bunch of fourth graders. It's very unprofessional.
Sounds like we're gonna get results. But anyway, plan for this week. We got a couple things we want to talk about. A couple things from this week we want to talk about. Obviously, Tulsa wants to touch on WrestleMania. We're going to talk a little bit about scientists taking the first ever picture of the black hole, which is awesome.
Crazy.
A couple other things. A little talk about maybe Wi-Fi causing cancer. I guess you want to jump right into your WrestleMania, the not biggest sporting event of the week. Congratulations to Virginia on winning the national championship.
The biggest sporting event.
But you didn't watch that, did you, Tulsa? Did you watch the national championship game?
Of what?
Basketball, obviously not. If you're asking what sport, I know the answer.
I don't give a fuck about that fake stuff.
Yeah, it's March Madness, though. That fake stuff. I just like real sports, wrestling.
Yeah. WrestleMania had the first women's main event. That was
it really
cool.
all day, though? 7 hours?
The pre-show started at 4, and then it didn't get over till, you were here when it got over, like 11:30 or something.
Yeah, I did come right. That's
a
long...
The night before was the Hall of Fame, which lasted like 5 hours. And then the night before that was NXT, which is like their developmental.
Their minor league wrestling?
Yeah, kind of. But they're all still really, like, outstanding. It's almost better sometimes than the main show. It's pretty crazy because they got like more to prove. But anyway,
I did not know they had
Friday,
a minor league wrestling.
And that was like 3 or 4 hours. So,
but so it was an all-day event, and there was an all-women's headline.
It's kind of crazy because like 10 years ago, like women's matches were like 4 minutes long, and usually like we're at the start of the show, or like they were like not even to like I don't even know, for like lack of a better term, probably like piss break matches. Like 10 years ago, just weren't interesting. It was more about the looks than their talent. Now they're the main event.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Insane.
That's big strides for equality. And I actually did watch. That's the only. It's funny because I got here just to watch the end of the main event, which was Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and
Charlotte Flair.
Charlotte Flair, Ric Flair's daughter.
Woo!
Yeah. But
the ending of that match was kind of
a weird side note.
The roll-up pin was.
The roll-up pin. Where Ronda Rousey's shoulders weren't touching.
Yeah, right.
Man, I know actually what happened. It's so weird. I can talk to you about wrestling right now.
She broke her hand.
Wait, yeah, you told me that.
She broke her hand in that match, and that like there's rumors that might have been like the reason why it ended abruptly. But I can't see that because most wrestlers, when they get injured, no matter what, they still carry out the match.
Yeah.
So, like Triple H tore his pec a few months or like 6 months ago, and he finished like another 15 minutes in a match.
Damn.
He did that with a torn quad, too. Tore his quad about halfway through the match and then wrestled another probably 10 minutes with a torn quad.
Because there's one script. You can't go off script, if he... he was supposed to win. How's he has to continue on with a torn... He lost?
Oh, no. Well, the first time he tore his quad, he lost.
That's such a man,
Second time he tore his quad, they won that match. And he pedigreed a guy on a table after he tore his quad, which is like where he like jumps up and like lands on his knees.
What's it called? Pedigreeing him?
Pedigree, that's his finishing move.
I can't think of anything I think I could still do with a torn quad.
I don't know how a torn quad feels, but I can probably assure you that I'm not wrestling.
I imagine I'm not doing much of anything.
Yeah, no.
No, fuck that.
A lot of injuries. I remember...
Well, dude, because it is crazy. Even though it's scripted, like, what's the move? I obviously have no idea what it's called, where they fucking... It's like they jump on the top ropes and they grab them and then they lift them up and then they do a backflip with them.
That you've seen in the women's match?
Yeah.
It's a Spanish fly, I think is what it's called.
That's badass.
It's crazy, yeah. I've seen that stuff like off the top through like a table on the outside.
Yeah, see, that's crazy. You know what? Did you watch that? You said you watched some of that Brian Callen thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you're talking about how WWE has become so much more open and inclusive, and how much more part of women, or how much more of a part of it women have become.
Yeah.
But he was talking about how like women fighting in the UFC or whatever changed his whole view on women. He was like a chauvinist before then, and then he saw these women were just like, I thought that was interesting that it took that for him to change. But also it's like that shows you how important it is that we become more equal, you know, and inclusive, and
That's,
everyone has the opportunity to do everything across the board, so that people
like,
recognize things that they didn't see in
WWE's
people
been doing
before.
the shows in Saudi Arabia, right?
I think you told me that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like over there, you know how they treat women, like their shit's always covered. Like,
yeah, how they gonna do?
You can't go places unless you got like a man with you, like stupid shit like that. They're just so behind culture, you know. It's not our culture. But
so
like,
how are they gonna do wrestling match with women in bikinis?
They'll do wrestling there. They don't do the bikini wrestling match stuff anymore. That was like 10 years ago.
Ronda Rousey was wearing nothing but a bikini. What are you talking about?
Well,
none of those girls were wearing
wrestling attire.
Okay, it's basically a bikini with a little bit of extra fabric in one place or two places.
Well, yeah, but what do you expect them to wear? Full headdresses and?
No, but I'm just saying, it's like
suits?
you corrected me on bikini, like I'm far off.
Okay, fair.
Right.
But when they have the shows in Saudi Arabia, the women don't wrestle. They don't go.
At all?
Yeah. But, like, I think that's what they're trying to do with this. Like, there's rumors that the next show, or maybe the one after that they're going to have a women's match there, which will be huge.
I don't know. Yeah, I could just see that causing... People get really upset about religious stuff.
The last show they had there, Renee Young, the commentator, she's a woman, and she was commentating.
The really beautiful one that they called what they call it, a goddess or something?
No, that's Alexa Bliss.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Yeah. But the commentator, Renee Young, she commentated at Saudi Arabia. Pretty big by itself. Along on the wrestling topic, Bret Hart got attacked at the Hall of Fame by some dude wearing a Rasta hat.
Yeah.
And then that guy proceeded to get his shit kicked out of him by Travis Brown and various other members of the roster.
I'd say I don't know who any of those people are, but...
Travis Brown is Ronda's husband. UFC.
Oh, he's a UFC fighter, isn't he?
Yeah. Bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy that attacked Bret got pummeled.
I think it is funny, like you said, that the guy was wearing a Rasta
hat. He was in
hat.
the ring almost as quick as the guy attacking Bret was in the ring. That's how fucking fast he was.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to fuck with anybody who's a trained UFC fighter.
No. Yeah, that feel like I wish I could have seen like a mugshot of that guy. I haven't seen one yet.
That's what's crazy too, though, is you like never know how, like judging someone on the street, you have no idea if someone's a good fighter or not.
I got a pretty solid rule. You don't pick a bar fight with a guy with cauliflower ear.
Well, yeah, if they have cauliflower, you shouldn't fight them. For sure.
Yeah.
I mean...
Anybody else, I'm taking them.
I'll kick your ass, bro. I don't have cauliflower ear. That's what we're going to do. Me and you.
Bar fight?
No, we don't have to go to a bar. We can do it right here.
Oh, we're going to fist fight for the podcast?
Yeah.
Audio only fist fight?
No, we're going to pay-per-view it. We got a deal in the works with HBO.
HBO Showtime, Cinemax, Pornhub.
Pornhub's our main provider.
Our sponsor this week, very generous of them, is Good Note.
Who? Oh!
Yeah.
That t-shirt company out of that small town in Illinois?
Yes, that exact one.
Yeah. I heard they're really good people.
Check them out. They put out some fire stuff
I've
lately.
Looked at some of their stuff.
God.
Have you seen it? It's crazy.
It's insane.
Good.
The guy that owns the thing, real dick. But besides that,
real dick. I've heard that.
Yeah. Great place. GoodNoteStore.com. And then you can hear this podcast at GoodNoteStore.com.
Yeah, no, check it out for real. Got some great stuff there.
That's the joke. I own it. That's the joke. I'm the dick. I swear I'm a nice guy.
I hope they understood that. I swear I'm a good dude. I'm saving myself for my second marriage. Can you imagine your first marriage? Just like, yep, I'm still saving myself for the next one.
I'll pass. Hard pass. Hard no. Hard no, bud. Your spare parts, bud.
Look at that fucking treasure trail.
What's up with your fucking body hair, Big Shoots? You look like a 12-year-old Dutch girl. Esthetician quaff that for you?
You can kiss my esthetician. You guys do CrossFit?
You can cross fuck off.
Cross part.
Cross part.
You can cross fuck off, cross
Come
part.
on, kitten, I won't tell anyone. Buddy, you're softer than a Tootsie Roll fruit cup.
You look like the skunk my dog killed and probably raped.
Get your board shorts out of here, you fucking pansy.
Take your tank top and your Tonka truck and kick rocks.
Cake eater.
It is a great day for hay.
What's it to you? I bet you got a handful of names for your own horn, don't you, bud?
Smell like nachos and you look stoned.
You write Taylor Swift lyrics and birthday cards.
You prefer kittens and you kiss babies.
You're fucking 10-ply, bud.
You're fucking 10-ply, bud.
Oh.
Your neighbor says his new scooter is just the tits, but sure as God's got sandals, there ain't nothing tits about a scooter.
Sure as God got sandals.
Sure as God got sandals.
And that is 10 minutes of Letterkenny. Thanks for listening to this Insightful Hypocrites Podcast.
Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about.
Oh, man.
This week, something that was really cool was a scientist from around the world actually teamed up to get the first photograph of a black hole, which for a long time they thought was something that would never be, not even photographed, but they thought it was impossible to even see. Tulsa is not so convinced based on the picture.
I mean, like, it's probably a real thing. It's just the picture.
It doesn't blow you away.
The
is what
picture doesn't really show that much.
Mhm.
It's like, it's really cool that they've pulled that off, but
Well, it took them like 8 telescopes from across the world.
it's also
they did a synchronized
50
telescope.
It's 53 million light years away.
But they'd use 8 telescopes, and well, part of the reason, like I said, that they thought they'd never be able to see one is because, like, past a certain point, what they call the event horizon, like, nothing can escape a black hole. So everything gets sucked in. Like, there's nothing that can, even light, you know what I mean? So the reason you're able to see things is basically light reflecting off something and then coming back. So if it sucks everything in, then you have no way to, like, photograph it or see it, you know what I mean? Because nothing ever comes back to you from it.
Did they explain how they got this photograph? This thing is 6
I
billion
didn't
times
I
the
need to
mass
read
of
about
our
it more.
sun, by the way.
Yeah, but it's
6
still...
billion times the mass of our sun.
Yeah, but it's so far away. It's like...
Yeah,
I don't know,
53
all those
million light years.
numbers-
What's one million? Hold on.
All those numbers are... You can understand them, but they're really unfathomable to the human mind.
One light year is 5.9 trillion miles away.
And see, when you hear numbers like that, it's like... That doesn't even seem... Like, you understand what they're saying. It's a fuck ton.
It's insane.
But you
It's
can't
not
really
even
you can't really
fathomable,
comprehend
yeah.
it. Yeah, it's like infinity. Like the idea of infinity.
Or the fourth dimension thing that we talked about a few
Dimensions are
episodes ago.
super hard to even, like, unless you're super smart, they're super hard to even comprehend. And even if you do understand them, they're even harder to explain. I don't know. Black holes in space are just super interesting.
Aunt Becky and her husband are blaming each other for the whole deal.
Oh.
So this is probably not going to end well. And she's looking at, like, 100% looking at prison time. Which, of course, prison for her isn't going to be as hard as it is for...
No, rich white people prison is
Yeah.
better than any other prison.
She rejected her plea deal. They're facing up to 40 years in prison.
What?
I also seen something about money laundering earlier, too, was part of it.
Well, I'm.
Yeah. New charge of money laundering.
Oh.
They had the chance to take the plea deal. Under the plea agreement, they would have faced 18 to 24 months of jail time, but they weren't okay with that. Couldn't probably come to the terms of that they were going to have to go to jail. But now they're looking at 40 years because they turned it down.
They're not gonna get 40 years though.
What do you think? Do you think they'll get off clean? Wouldn't that be some shit?
I don't know. Probably not, because I think the justice system probably wants to make an example of them.
I don't think the internet would let that happen. Internet would go crazy.
People are pissed.
Yeah. And if you just let another rich Hollywood star off, people are going to be very upset about that. Especially now with this
Yeah,
new
but
money
also they
laundering
don't deserve
thing on top
40
of it.
years for fucking...
I mean, money laundering is a pretty big deal.
No, but I'm saying besides the money laundering. Like, they were originally facing pretty significant jail time even before the money laundering, weren't they?
I don't think 40 years.
No.
Oh, they were facing 20 years.
Man, that's just... What a weird story. No, what I really should have read up on more, because I just started reading about it today because my mom told me about it, was she shared this article with me about these scientists who are starting to really look at Wi-Fi and its links to cancer. And so they were talking about how it sends off, because you know that, like, Wi-Fi, it's all in waves. It's all, you know, and waves are like, those waves on different wavelengths are how, like, everything from microwaves to, like, your radiation and x-rays work, you know what I mean? So we know x-rays give you cancer, you know, if you're around too many x-rays and that type of radiation or those type of waves. And then but then basically these scientists were just looking at saying like some very like well-known scientists too, like one that would not. He was talking about Bret in particular. He was like the heads of one of all of Canada's like cancer research center. He was like the head of one of their entire units, and he's basically like completely against having Wi-Fi in schools. My mom was saying there's this group of kids in Brazil. That's one of the articles she shared with me too. There's this group of kids in Brazil that apparently are like coming down with brain cancer, and that the doctors there think it's linked to. It's basically, well, you've always heard people talk about the cell phones, like the conspiracy theorists or whatever, but I don't know. I think there's got to be some link to the fact that you're putting all these. I mean, you just think about around you constantly. There's electromagnetic waves or some
everywhere,
whatever, constantly going through you. Whether it's just off the cords that are plugged in.
What do we got here?
Small.
We got a laptop here. We got a computer here. We got 2 cell phones, laptop over there.
And you think about your cell phone sending out a signal and receiving a signal.
And then we got Wi-Fi going to all of those things.
Everywhere, and there's your neighbors have Wi-Fi.
The Apple TV, there's stuff I'm forgetting.
And like now they're going to cars have Wi-Fi. They're going to like they want to have those areas where it's like Wi-Fi everywhere. Basically, there's so many weird variables. It's like how, and also it's like sometimes it's like how do you care about? There's so much shit that you could care about. It's almost like overwhelming. You start looking into you know what I mean? It's like. Like your water's bad for you, your food's bad for you, your air's bad for you, your cell phones are bad for you, your cars are bad. It's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do then, man? It's like, it's like brain melt. It's like mush. It's like there's too much stuff going on. It's like there's too much to worry about, and at the same time, it's like part of it's probably got to be all overblown. But there's so many serious issues. It's like just right in front of our face. It's like, how are you supposed to? I don't have the ability, the time, or the money to worry about it all. Or take care of it all.
You know what's weird? You know, I make the Rays collection shirts, the Portal collection shirts, the new Split collection shirts. How I like.
Which ones are the Rays?
The sideways from corner to corner,
yeah.
where it's okay. I remove the dye, and then I'll tie dye it. But
and you remove it with bleach water, right?
No, bleach ruins fabric. I use dye remover.
Dye remover.
But
you just have to soak it, or how?
Yeah, I normally just let them sit, but then this last time around, it was okay. It's 100% cotton. All these shirts were. I'm letting them all soak in this dye remover to remove the dye, and then like when they're done, they'll look like a cream color, or like almost like a little yellow orangish tint to it. But that's just the dye remover that you wash out. Once you wash it out, it's like a cream color. Both batches that I had, the larges in both batches, turned like a green.
It is weird.
Right? It's like something to do with the chemical in the fabric, but all of them are supposed to be 100% cotton. Why did the 2 larges out of that batch of T-shirts just turn green and not cream?
I don't know.
So I ended up.
Manufacturer.
I just didn't dye those. I left them the color they were and put them up, and people have been loving them. So.
Really?
Yeah, whatever.
Huh. Interesting. But so then after you have the dye removed, then you do your tie dyeing.
Yeah, after the dye's removed, I rinse the dye remover out and then start the tie-dye process for
most of it's the ice melt technique, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, all I do now is the ice way. I don't really use the squeeze bottles or by hand anymore. So when I do the mandala flowers, that's all I like tie it with hemostats and then dye it with syringes. But besides that, it's all ice.
Mm-hmm.
Did I ever tell you I had a wrestling ring in my basement when I was a kid? Makeshift.
You made one?
Yeah. Had a concrete floor, but
it's nice, toughens you up.
Awful. But yeah.
Had ropes and everything?
Yeah.
What'd you make the ropes out of, like sheets?
No, it was rope. I went out and bought rope from Menards as a kid. Me and the
like
friends.
hard rope too, not stretchy rope, I bet.
It was no, it was like the
you could run into it and bounce back. Like
I was really like, for being a young kid, I was really methodic about it. I got good rope, I got duct tape, and then like when we tied it, I wrapped it around many times so like it wouldn't snap and kill us, and then like duct taped it like mad, and then I would change the ropes literally every like month because they got loose and I didn't want them to break.
Upkeep, making sure the ring's safe.
It was
care about the competitor's
pretty
safety.
crazy, but it was only 2 corners of ropes, and then one corner had like
you were a bottle kid.
Stairs going up. And you can go underneath the stairs, and that's where we kept all the weapons, like tables and shit.
You had tables and shit, too?
Yeah, tables and ladders.
You went all out.
ladders. I don't know if we had any chairs. Cake pans were huge because they like sounded real loud.
Oh yeah,
and
you
gross, but
don't,
like
they don't really
they
hurt.
fold over your head, but yeah, they don't hurt. And then the other side was just a concrete wall.
You actually hit people over the like that. You hit people over the head with the cake pan,
Yeah,
and then it just bends.
yeah. It sounds gruesome. Yeah, it's nice.
But it doesn't hurt.
No,
I still feel like you shouldn't be getting hit in the head too many times with a cake pan in your life.
especially when you're like 10.
No, at that point, those
Those
kids,
are-
man, they're pliable. They heal
I had
right
to get
up.
stitches down there once. I jumped off the corner. One of the turnbuckles we had was a chair. So I jumped off the chair and then like over a ladder and landed on another ladder.
Oh man, that sounds
And
not
I
good.
cut my ankle open. Had to get stitches.
Damn. Man, I have a couple spots in my body where I know I should have got stitches and I didn't.
I got one on my hand right here. It's just a giant chunk missing from my hand.
Did I tell you about the chunk? Here's another Costa Rica story. The chunk out of my shin. So I haven't told you a story.
No.
So it's funny. We got when I was in Costa Rica, I was there studying abroad. We had to study. Well, we didn't have to. I mean, you had to study. That was part of the trip. I worded that wrong. You had to take 2 classes, and the only 2 classes you took Spanish every morning with like a Costa Rican, like a person from there, and then twice a week we had a class that was taught in English from a professor that came with us from our school, and she was an awesome lady. I loved her so much. But her specialty in the States was like theater design, so she was actually more of like an artist. So it's kind of like a glorified drawing class. But the class in English was called City Planning and Development or something. So like you really only had you had drawing assignments in between, but the big assignment for the whole term you were there was like you were supposed to talk to the locals and then like pick a spot within the area we lived, so which was Capos, Costa Rica, which is on the Pacific side on the west coast. Right next to Manuel Antonio, which is one of the main tourist attractions in Costa Rica. I lived in one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. It was awesome. But so you're supposed to talk to the locals and then pick a site in that location that was not being used or not being utilized properly, and then repair it or make something there, build something there, design a project. And completely plan the project. So from blueprints to where you acquire your materials, how much your materials would cost, all those kinds of things. Basically planning a architecture type design, a whole city development type, because that's the class was city development. But you're doing it based on the needs of the locals, because one of the things that you see a big problem in developing countries is that when American construction or planning type companies go down there, they plan it and design it and do things in the way that we think we would want it. You know what I mean? Like, what would we want if we were here? It's like, I think this needs a Four Seasons. You know what I mean? In a Hard Rock hotel or in a Hard Rock cafe. It's like that's not what this place needs. You know what I mean? They don't give a shit about Hard Rock or Four Seasons. So it was to design something that fit the locals' needs, and so it got you to really talk to people too, which is, it was kind of crazy and kind of off doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing anyway. But so. Part of your assignment for this class, you'd like walk around and just obviously like look at sites. You know what I mean? Look at the natural architecture. So when you're designing something, it would be something that fit Costa Rican architecture and design. But you'd also have to just spot things in the city that you thought could be improved. And so one of the things that I had called out in our class was behind the place, the group of houses that I live in. There's this little park, a little soccer field, a concrete soccer field, which is just
sounds psychotic.
right. It looked like a basketball court, but it was for soccer because that's what they play soccer there. They play soccer everywhere else in the world. But there was a little park there for children, and in front of the park for the kids, like to get from the road to the park, you had to jump over. Like I say, jump, like pretty much literally jump over this trench, and it was like. It looked more like a moat. It was made of concrete, you know what I mean? It was a drainage ditch is what it was. There was no grate over it at all. It was like a 5-foot drop, and it was probably 2.5 feet wide. So it's like if a little kid wants to get to this park, he has to basically run and jump over. You know what I mean?
Did you not set a
like a crevice?
Piece of plywood
there was
over
nothing. No. So I had brought up. I'm like, man, this is dangerous. Like how? Why don't they even have a grate over this or like a bridge over for the kids to get over this thing? I brought it up in class. Well, it was also a park that I would go and me and like a couple of Costa Rican girls and this girl from my class would go and sit and drink beer sometimes. And so we're back there one night, and it was like, I don't know, it was late. We were drinking a little bit and smoking and hanging out on the swing set. Finally, it's like 2:30 in the morning or something like that. And we're like, all right, we got to go home. We have class in the morning, you know. And like I said, I'm with 2 girls from Costa Rica. One of them did not speak English at all. One of them was pretty fluent in English. And then the girls from my class, from my school, she was fluent in Spanish. So I was the only one there who wasn't fluent in Spanish. And for some reason, I was calling the taxi. It doesn't make any sense. I think it was like that machismo, like, testosterone thing. It's like, oh, I got this, ladies. Like, you know, let me get this.
El taxi.
And so I'm a little El taxi. No, it was weird because I could talk. I went there with speaking nothing, and by the end, because you like dropped in, you know what I mean, when you're in it like that, you're surrounded. You really have to learn. You have to
Sink or swim.
Yeah, and that's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
But so I'm walking out of this park on the phone with the taxi driver, right? Like trying to tell him where we're at, like what, you know, how many people, whatever. And I, like, cartoon walked into this trench. Like, you see, like, somebody in a cartoon walk in and just drop. And I just completely spaced on the trench. And my shin, with all my body weight, I'm a big guy. Like, I'm 6'3", 220 pounds, you know what I mean? My shin lands on the opposite side of the trench, which is a 90-degree corner of concrete going down this trench. And just whole body weight hits on my shin. My phone goes flying. I fall down the trench, which is wastewater from people's freaking toilets and runoff. So it's disgusting. Phone goes flying. I climb out. I pick it up. I was trying to act tough, whatever. But I was like, oh my God, it hurts so bad. My fucking chin was split open. It was gushing blood.
Shit-tastrophe.
Continued to bleed for, like, I kid you not, like,
complete shit.
3 days was still dripping blood. And, like, people kept telling me to go to the doctor. I was like, nah. Finally, what happened is my parents actually ended up landing, like, coming to visit me a couple days later, but my teacher, like, was like, you gotta go to the doctor. Like, I was there because it got really infected. Dude, it was like pussing, and it had a distinctive kind of smell, and it was very red all the way around my shin, and it was like, it did not look good, dude, and it was just like a hole in my leg. So
how's a Costa Rican doctor?
It was decent, actually. I had someone take me, but at that point, it had already healed some, because I didn't go for like 2 weeks. So the outside had healed, so they didn't stitch it at that point.
Their advice.
I don't know. They didn't stitch it at that point, but they gave me this antibiotic soap, like this super soap, in a brush, dude. Like, I mean, like a hard bristled brush, like you'd wash dishes with.
Ow.
And every morning they told me, and at night, you had to do it twice a day. You had to put soap on my wound and scrub it with this brush. My open wound, scrub it with, it's like the consistency of a toothbrush, man. It hurt so bad. And I'd take pills for like a week and a half, but yeah, got the infection away. But I still, like, you can still see on my, it's like, you can tell it needs stitches because it's just a hole. It's a crater.
Like, that one's like a mini version of that, just a chunk missing out of my hand.
Yeah, but man, that hurts so bad.
Yeah,
and oh man, I've so many Costa Rican stories. I had that happen. I sliced my foot open climbing up a waterfall. I got a foot worm.
Yeah, I remember you talked about that right after you came back.
But the foot worm, man, I came back, and I didn't notice until, it was like a couple days before we were going to leave, my foot would just, like, you ever get those itches in your foot that just, you can't, like, scratch them?
If you get, like, your foot wet, and then your foot dries, and then, like, later on, your foot just itches so bad.
You know that one, though? It's like you can get your nails right on it, just like, you can get something pokey, and it's like the scratch still won't go away. It's like under your callus or something, I don't know, but it's just like that foot's, it's just some weird nerve thing going on. It's causing that scratching sensation. But I kept having those itches in my foot for a couple days before we were going to leave. And I noticed there was like this kind of weird line on the bottom of my foot, like the day before we were going to leave. And we're finally going to leave the next day, and I'm on the airport, and the entire flight, I just could not. Like, my foot was so itchy, dude. So itchy. Like, I would have to keep taking my boot off. Just like, scratching the hell out of my foot.
That'd be annoying.
And so I go back, and it's like that for like a couple days, like a week after I get back. And finally, I'm like, I'm going to the doctor. And there's these lines, distinctive lines on my foot, like a couple of them, like one up around. And I thought it looked like a worm, like crawling on the bottom of my foot. And there was like a couple on the bottom of my foot, and there's one up on my toe. And I go to the doctor in Galesburg, Illinois, very far from, you know, where parasites like that are common. Yeah. But they say you can get them here actually too. But I went to the doctor's office, and I showed him, and I was like, I think I have a worm in my foot. And they're like, what? Like, what the hell are you talking about? And so the nurse came in, she looked, she's like, oh my God. She brought another doctor in. She's like, oh my God. They literally brought everybody in. They're like, dude, this kid's got a footworm.
Check out this
They
kid's
brought in every
footworm.
doctor. They thought it was so funny. I don't know how they had one, but they had a Beanie Baby like they give to little kids, you know what I mean? And it was like a caterpillar, like a worm. They gave it to me. They're like, just because we've never had anyone who had this before. They gave me a Beanie Baby that was supposed to be for kids. It cracked me up. That was another coach vegan story. That itched like a motherfucker too. And it's weird though. They say you can get that here even. I got it there. They say probably from walking on the beach
What
just
happened?
all the time.
Do they just give you
They just give you an antibiotic. So it's a kind of worm. It's like this certain kind of hookworm apparently, and they can only get through a couple layers of skin. It's like the epidermis or something. I don't know, but they can't get through the last layers of skin and muscle to get into your blood, so it never becomes like a bad infection. So what they do is they just like basically continue to eat through the layers of your skin on the bottom, and they move around, and
That's
then
why it was itching so bad.
Yeah,
when
and
eating
so
through the layers of skin.
when you'd see on the bottom of your foot, it would literally look like you'd see like the curved lines of what looked like a snake or like a worm crawling, and that's like
Would they move? Like, would
So-
it be in a different spot?
the itch mark would move, but apparently what you're seeing, the red line actually wasn't where the worm was. That's where they had gone through, and so that's where it was like inflamed from them eating it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But yeah, so it was like, I don't know, but it itched like hell. It itched like hell. But they say here you can get it from just like if you walk barefoot and step in dog shit or something. It's like you can get it here.
I never
It's just,
walk
It's just
barefoot.
uncommon. I never wear shoes when it's in the summer, dude.
I
Not
always
never,
got,
but
I always got socks on at least.
I hate socks.
And like boots or shoes.
I
or
hate
something.
socks, which is weird.
Socks. Are
'Cause I
great.
feel like most people love socks.
Yeah, I love it.
I hate them, dude. They
I need
just
my
make my
feet
toes
covered.
feel all cramped and.
I need my feet covered.
I got like half Indian feet though. They're so calloused and hard on the bottom. You ever seen one of those videos of like the guys like who have like a grinder and they're grinding off their callus on the bottom? It's like that.
That's because you walk around barefoot all the time
Yeah.
like an ape.
Well, it's how the Indians walk, man. Connected to the earth, hippie lifestyle. I don't know what you don't like. I don't know why you don't like barefoot. It just feels good. You should seriously look up those butthole chocolates though. I'm telling you, just look up a picture real quick for me, please.
I'm not Google searching butthole chocolates.
Give me my phone.
It's over there.
Google butthole chocolates.
God damn it.
I promise you, it's worth it. Dude, it's so weird though, cause it's like a Valentine's Day thing. Look at that picture. You see it? People send in a casting
So that's
of
a butthole chocolate.
yeah. People send in a cast of their actual asshole, and then they
it's,
make
It's called edible anus.
yeah, and they make is it really edible anus? Eddie's edible anus.
Edible anus
Oh,
company.
I thought it was Eddie's. Oh, it's a cast of an elbow, not a butthole.
No, it's a butthole. Look at her.
Oh, that is her ass, huh? Wait, you have to go there? The guy does it for you?
I hope not.
This is what I said when we talked about it the first time. Whoever told me, I'm
There's
like,
the box. Edible anus.
anus.
Pure Belgian chocolate.
it's a 2-man job to get your anus, like, molded like that. Oh my god, that is disgusting.
Isn't it crazy?
Alright, for our viewers, I want you to type in
No.
edible anus.
You probably shouldn't. I mean, yeah, it's a company.
It's
I guess
literally
you
this
can.
company that they scan they get a mold of your
There it is on
butthole.
top of whipped cream or Cool Whip.
They get a mold of your butthole, and then you can get chocolates made for your loved one, your significant other for Valentine's Day or any occasion, depending. I suppose
It's in a banana split tray.
it is one of the strangest looking things you should. Oh my god, dude! Look at the detail. I encourage everyone to look. Aren't you glad you looked?
Yeah.
Oh my god, how much do they cost?
I don't know. Can we get a sponsor?
Right? Become a reseller. What? $24. $24 for a 3 box.
24 euros.
24 euros for 3 chocolates.
For a 5-pack bundle.
Oh, so there's 15 chocolates, 3 per box, 5 packs.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it looks like. It is.
What is 24?
I mean, that's
24
definitely the
euros
math,
is
but
what, like
I think it's
30
like-
bucks?
Yeah, I was gonna say
28
like 28. Yeah, it's not that much more.
But then you gotta get it shipped
So
from
we're
the
getting-
UK,
we're
or
getting-
wherever it's coming from.
We're getting edible anus.
All right, well, it's gonna. Like I said, it's a 2-man job, so I'm gonna need to spread it, and you're gonna have to do the casting of mine.
Wait, no. If you just buy it, whose anus are you getting?
Yeah, I thought it was your anus.
I think these ones are pre-made anus.
No, I want my butthole.
Ingredients: milk chocolate, dark chocolate, white chocolate, anus.
Is that really what it says?
No,
Wait, go back. So time out. It's not your butthole.
I don't think so.
It's all that one girl's butthole in that picture.
Let's help spread the joy. Let's help the world to love each other and love the anus. That's their marketing message.
This is weird.
This is a weird thing. Solid silver limited edition anus.
What? How much is it?
550 euros.
Oh my god, it's real silver. I thought it was like one of those like you know those gold chocolates? Solid silver.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that? There's a limited buyback market for
Put
that.
it on a ring and use it to propose.
I want people to know you're mine.
It would be 15 euros for shipping, 39 euros total, which is probably like 44, 45 bucks.
Yeah, so do I send him a picture of my butthole?
No,
or?
I think you get pre-made buttholes.
Oh, man.
There was
That
no
ruins
option
the whole thing.
to customize anything here. I do want to peep this silver one.
I thought you got to make it of your butthole.
There's only 3 left in stock. We're going to have to order these puppies soon.
They only have 3 stars.
550 euros for this silver.
Go read the comment section on a solid...
Look at that. Look at that silver sphincter.
That's a bronze sphincter, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. This is the bronze one.
What's the reviews say? Because it only has 3 stars. Oh my god, dude. Go to the reviews. I gotta see the reviews. 1 star. Too tight for my liking. Oh god. Everyone go look up edible anus.
I don't like these things. Yeah, so you don't get to make your own.
Okay, I lied to you guys. It makes them less cool. It makes it less cool that you have to eat
why do
so
you
many-
want a mold of someone else's anus?
I thought that
Of
was
chocolate?
I thought that was the whole shtick, you know? It was like you mold your own butthole and then you're like, "Babe, look, that's my butthole for you to eat later." You know? I thought that's what it was. I never should have shown you this because you're way too into it now.
I'm gonna buy some.
I got to eat 3 of them.
Yeah, you can have some.
Edible anus, bro. Yeah, so you're not disappointed.
No, I'm naming this episode Butthole Chocolate.
Butthole chocolate. Do you ever I have this bad habit. Do you ever find a song you like or is like perfectly perfectly fits
The situation.
your situation and
Yeah.
mood, and then for whatever reason though, it's like you listen to that song over and over.
Too many
and
times.
It's like almost too many. Yeah, you almost start to hate it. But no, it's like what's weird about it is those songs. It's like the same as like when you hear an old song you haven't heard in a long time and it like brings back all the feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just make, oh my god, that song was from when I was in
You
high
can
school.
almost like picture it.
And me and my buddies used to listen to it when we were doing this or that. You know, and so you get that whole feeling back. It's like songs that you listen to when you were in like a low place or depressed or like, you know, the opposite, you know, at the end of the spectrum. It's like moods that are associated with a really good time you had or a really happy time or
I
someone
could
you
like
loved.
literally place albums with moments of my life.
When they come
I can
on-
think of them all now.
When they come on, it's like they bring that back. So it's like when you are, say you were stuck listening on this song that you've been listening to over and over again for a week that was associated with a bad mood. It's like you almost are forcefully bringing that bad mood back up. You know what I mean? Or vice
Sometimes
versa.
if I listen to stuff where I was in a bad time and I listen to it now, I feel like I'll almost like smile and like, depending on how I'm feeling, maybe tear up because like it's so much better than it was then. Like I remember, it was Indica, right? That was
Mhm.
Kid Cudi's album. Like I was like 17 or 18. I just fucking hated everything, and I was like so angry listening to that album all
angry
the
at the
time.
world.
But I heard like Unfuckwittable, that song,
yeah.
a while back. I was like, this is great now.
Right.
I mean, I loved it then. That's why I listened to it all the time. But listen to it now when you're in a better spot, and then you think about how bad it was when you were listening to
Yeah.
it then. It was cool.
And you can think about too, you think about how much growth you've had and experience and understanding you've come to about how like what you were feeling in those times
Really is
was
shit.
bullshit. Yeah, or it's like it's weird too to think back like how many times in your life, especially I think if you remember back to when you were a little kid, like the first time you felt like you had your heart broken or whatever. It's like or like any of those feelings were so fucking intense. You thought it was the end of the world, bro. You're like, this is it. Like I'm 17. Like I know this is it. This is oh my god. I'll never want another girl again. Or you know what I mean? It's like whatever those feelings were, and you're like 3 weeks later, you're like, wow, I was fucking ridiculous,
right.
man. Like it's so weird. That's why I don't know. You gotta like almost.
Going
You gotta
back-
let yourself feel stuff, but you gotta like do realize like in the
Going back
moment,
to the music, I like the good time ones though, because you can throw those on at any time.
right?
And it's
When
a
you're
good
in a
time.
bad mood and get your
Yeah.
good, you're like
Like Faces by Mac Miller.
Yeah.
There's like always like me, you, and Josh be partying, and
See,
we have that on.
Faces is weird to me too though because Faces
It
that
was a
whole
crazy part of my life though.
that's like a part of my life when I was
up and down a lot.
like I went through a
But for the most part, I think of a lot of fun when that was on.
fun
Yeah.
but part of like Faces, the end of my Faces thing, because I went through this like 2 months period where all I pretty much did was listen to Faces on repeat. It was weird, like the whole album through and through. But it's like during that chunk of my life is when I was like not in the best place. You know what I mean?
That's cool how we have a different outlook on the same album, though. Still a great album. We both still love it. We both still listen to it.
One of my favorite mixtapes.
Oh yeah, probably my favorite mixtape.
And it's got grand finale in the end, which is like he talked about that. He was probably either gonna.
It's just a little angel dust.
There's so many good ones on there. It's so weird because we talked about how Mac Miller, for us, I think his death was interesting. How much it affected, how much it affected us. I think because he was a musician that, first of all, was close in age to us, but he was someone we fucked with when he first started. You know what I mean? When he was just a YouTube guy, when he was young.
Kool-Aid and Frozen Pizza.
Yeah, Kool-Aid, going all the way back to like Nike's on My Feet and all those songs back. And then Blue Slide Park when it first came out. I remember going out and buying that shit when it was first. But it was like we saw his progression, and then he was going through some things
it almost
at the
felt
same
like,
time that I was going through some of the same issues.
Like, subsequently, like we were going through the exact same things at the same
time. It was so relatable.
His was on a heavier level because he had way more money. Which is probably for the better that I didn't have that money to be doing stuff like that at that time.
If I was a fucking
if I had as much money as he did when I was 18 or 19, things would have probably been awful.
Or even if I was born into a family where my mom was super rich.
Some of that's off, like Steve-O. His parents are like rich as fuck. He grew up rich as fuck.
So many super rich kids
end up fucked
up.
Like just until like 10 years ago, Steve-O was a fucking maniac wreck.
Now he's
still crazy,
for 10
but yeah,
years,
like
crazy. I don't think he's
really
10
crazy
years
now. I think it might be 10 years.
He's an incredible turnout story. The picture of him when he was on his like worst, when it's like all the whippets in front of him and he's in that bathtub.
Yeah.
And then he's like got puke all over.
Did you see the movie? I think it was like Resurrection of Steve-O or something like that. I don't know.
Well, here's the one. Have you ever seen PCP Save My Life?
I know.
You should watch that one. It's all about him, and he did like PCP for I can't remember weeks straight or something, like a week straight.
He has this bucket list tour
weird.
thing where he does things that like they don't allow on like TV and stuff that he can't really film, but he'll do them like on tour live. He was talking about one stunt. He was talking about one stunt he did. It wasn't for this because he couldn't do this in a live show, but it was he jumped out of a master plane while jerking off and came in the air as he jumped out of the plane.
You know, okay, dude. I'm honestly like the thing I think the most there was like I'm impressed. Like I don't know if like there's so much other things that would be going through your mind at that point. Like how do you focus enough to not only keep jerking off, you gotta stay hard and then finish. The way he
explains it is so funny because he's got that stupid, like
Steve-O voice.
I don't want to say stupid. Everything. It's like legendary Steve-O voice. He's like, yeah, I was just watching porn and getting to that point, and then I fucking jump out of the plane and I shot my load, bro.
So ridiculous. I'm honestly like no matter what I was doing before that was turning me on, I think the second I jump out of a plane, it's like all my attention goes away from my boner. You know, it's like
limp immediately as soon as you jump out of the plane.
It's no longer it's not fighting that 100-mile-an-hour wind. God, I've skydived before too, man.
I have not.
That's a lot of wind there, man. There's a lot of force. I don't know how I'm gonna.
I think he said he jumped with somebody too.
Guy on his back.
So he had a guy on his back too. I believe. I feel like Steve-O doesn't have enough jumps to jump.
Sorry,
by himself.
Dave. Wipe your glasses off. It's funny because the guy who was on my back when I jumped, his name was Dave. God, it's so crazy. When we skydived, I went skydiving with Josh. I had to get. Josh was down for it, but I convinced him to go for it. And it's crazy. You can go for $195 up in Geneseo, and they will. You get a video with it too.
Mm-hmm.
And
we watched. I think I watched Josh's video.
I still have my video somewhere.
Seen yours.
But we like as we're going up, we get there first, and like the guys are cool, man. It's just like we pull up to this like private little like hangar they have at the airport. You know, it's just like one of those little airports. But we go in there, and it's just like a bunch of like young dudes, like probably 4 or 5 young dudes hanging out, and then like the older guy Dave. And, like you could tell they just like chilled there, like they had a fucking fridge full of beer, you know, for after they're done jumping and shit. It's like they just drank and talked about jumping. But the fucking young guy, one of the young guys, he was the one who was gonna jump out. Because when they film you, basically what they do is another guy has to jump, you know what I mean, and film you as well. So like you jump, and then he jumps right after you, and he gets like next to you and has the camera going and whatever. And so he was the one who was gonna film me while I was going. And he's like rolling up his chute as we're talking, you know what I mean, signing the papers, the waivers, and they're getting us fitted for jump shoots or whatever. And he's telling us about, we're asking him questions like, you know, how hard is it to roll the parachute up and all this
How hard
blank. And
does it hurt when you hit the ground?
dude, he told me, he's like, oh man, it's like rolling the parachute. He's like, it's not really that big of a deal. He's like, there's only like, you know, 2 or 3 things you got to make sure you get right. And then after that, it's like, as long as you get it folded, it's like, it should open. He's like, I've gone up lots of times where I was like, I know I didn't fold that very good. I was like, what do you mean you're going up? Jumped out of a plane and you're like, yeah, I didn't fold that for shit. It's like, what? It's like, oh my god. He's like, if you don't fold the other parts as good, it's like it just opens harder. Like, you're fucking nuts, bro. You are nuts. But I will say,
You see Travis Pastrana jumped out without the parachute?
was he the dude who did that? Well, there's a guy before him who did that and he got caught in that net.
Oh,
But
no, Travis jumped out with it. It was a Red Bull ad.
oh yeah, he went up in the
He jumped out of the plane and he's like just floating in boxers holding
Yeah.
Red Bull, and then the guy came and caught him.
yeah.
But like, how terrifying!
Yeah. Well, Travis Pastrana's got some big balls.
Insane.
I was
He's
watching
insane, man.
this Nitro Circus thing, and he's been focusing on trying to do the triple backflip for years, and he basically like passed the torch on to this. I think it's Shaheen's the guy's name, because like he's been hit in the head so many times, had so many concussions. You know what I mean? That as he goes up now, like he has to get the force and the height that he needs to do the triple backflip based on his math with the ramp they built. He's done tons of ramps, you know what I mean? To practice, they ramp off into a giant
Land
airbag.
is insane. His home is insane.
But they're watching this video of him doing it. Basically, he loses consciousness, like even trying to flip there, or when he lands, even doing that a lot of times. And it's like fucking up his back and shit so bad that it's like he tapped on the triple backflip. Like Travis Pastrana tapped on something. You know what I mean?
That's
it's like,
insane.
But also, I think it's like one of the guys saying there too is like, because you hear Travis Pastrana saying in an interview, he's like, I don't have the talent or I don't have the skill or the ability to do this anymore. I've been beat up. And one of the guys was like, interviewed after that, who knows him, was like, that's bullshit. It's like he has this skill. He's like the most talented guy in the world. You know what I mean? It's like the thing is, it's like he's finally to the point.
I remember watching live when he landed the triple backflip or the double backflip for the first time.
Right? It's like he's
and then
fucking
like
nuts.
a year or 2 or 3, I don't remember how many years later, he did the backflip 360 and then fell. He didn't land it, but like
He's fucking nuts.
so in it, like a backflip 360 on a dirt bike.
But
It's insane.
the guy was saying it's like he's finally at the point in his life where he's got a family and he's got stuff, and he's like finally questioning the value of life like a normal human being. You know what I mean?
What he
Where he's
should
like,
have been doing the
whoa,
last 30 years.
right? Where he should have been doing his whole life is like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't do this. There could be
Dude,
some
the list of
serious
injuries
ramifications.
those guys got, like Johnny Knoxville. I watched a video where he named off his injuries. Insane.
Have you heard Tony Hawk? Like Tony Hawk's like
like-
broken like everything.
The video ends with him talking about him breaking his penis. Like a handlebar from a dirt bike broke off in his crotch. He was like, he said he like looked down and he just seen blood in his pants and he like joked and laughed and he's like, I think we gotta go to the hospital, boys.
God damn.
Like, those guys are just nuts.
Dude,
man.
also, there's something not seriously, but there's clearly something off in their brain. Like, I'm sorry.
That
Like,
whole Jackass crew, the whole Nitro Circus crew.
well, the
something's
Nitro Circus
twisted.
crew, here's what I'll say. Here's where it's different to me. This is why it's totally different to me. Like, the Nitro Circus dudes, some people say there's something off in their head, and I think there is something off in their head, but I can see, as someone who likes adrenaline stuff, not to that extreme, but like I've done bungee jumping and skydiving, I understand the want to do something big. And like the closer you get to death or whatever, the more you feel alive.
Yeah.
But their intentions when they do something are to land it, to succeed.
The Jackass guys
Jackass
are
crews
intended to be entertaining and
Do
get
stuff
hurt.
they intentionally know is going to fuck them up. It's like, yo, you want to get shot off this rocket into fucking... It's going to fuck you up. It's like, all right, let's do it.
The ending of, is it Jackass 2? Where Johnny's on the rocket and they're trying to launch him into the river. He's like, I'm Johnny Knoxville and I'm going to jump the English Channel or whatever. But like the rocket blows up inside the giant rocket that they built and it shoots out the side. Like right where, like in between his hand.
arm, yeah.
Like if it would have been anywhere else, it would have shot right through his body.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I do kind of remember that, but dude, some of the stuff they've done is just fucking. It's like, why? The amount of pain tolerance, but also it's just like this, the ultimate example of like guys one upping each other. Do you remember when you were younger? Do you remember doing eraser burns? Did you
Yeah.
ever do that?
Yeah. We got in
Anyone
trouble for that at
listening,
school, actually.
I wonder if anyone out there ever did eraser burns too, if that was just like our dumb area thing. But we got in trouble for it too, because all the guys, you would do that. For those of you who don't know what an eraser burn is, an eraser burn
I'm
is when
dumb.
you
just
take an
reminded me
eraser,
of that.
you take a normal eraser, like a pencil eraser, and you just start erasing on your skin. And I think you know what happens. It's pretty self-explanatory. You know what I mean? The title of what it is, the name of it is very descriptive. It erases your skin. It gives you a burn, and you would just see who could do it the longest and make the biggest fucking disgusting looking scab on your arm.
So dumb.
Oh my god! It's like who's willing to hurt themselves more? It's like very
Going back to
testosterone-driven
that
thing.
wrestling thing and having like eraser burns, I can't remember what it was from, but I had a mark on my head, but it was from something wrestling when we were kids. And I went to school, and I remember the teachers asking me if I was getting like abused at home. And I was just like, no, I just wrestle with my friends.
I just wrestle with my friend.
I just fake wrestle really with my friends.
Tulsa, do we need to talk about
But
something?
we took it serious. I mean, that was probably when we still thought it was real.
Right? So you really hate
so
each
we're
other.
really fucking each other up.
That's hilarious.
Well, we should probably wrap this up.
Alright, so we're gonna do a challenge this week.
Another challenge.
Tulsa's gonna actually take over the challenge this week, or
Oh.
not so much challenge, just a little. Yeah, I guess challenge is the right word. Not homework, but something to do this week, something to think about. Tulsa's gonna take over this one.
Another challenge. I had to do this in a college course. I can't. It was like mind and wellness, maybe. A college course about like the brain and taking care of yourself mentally. But write down things you're grateful for, or whenever you think of them. Maybe start a list on your phone of things you're grateful for, or just write down a big list, like 5 to 10 things, and then just look at it every day. Remind yourself things that you are grateful for, thankful that you have, things that you may take for granted.
Yeah, I really like that. And then another thing I add, just every morning when you wake up, if you find it hard to get out of the bed in the morning, or something, you find it hard to motivate yourself to get going in the morning, remember those things you're grateful for and how the things you have that you appreciate, and that'll remind you why it's worth getting up and doing the things you don't want to do. And I think that really helps you get through. I like that challenge a lot. I think that's it. Tulsa, catch us on.
Oh, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and goodnotestore.com/podcast.
Shout out to everyone who listened. Give us your feedback, comments. Check out goodnotestore.com. Have some more stuff for you next week. Thanks again. Peace out. Be grateful.